Hey everybody, and welcome to Monday with the Born Again to Live crew. Where at this point, I don't think the guests they don't know if we have guests or not.
You never know who's going to come and talk on our podcast. What episode is it, Eric?
Episode 105.
Woohoo! All right. And we're just coming off of a Father's Day weekend. So, Eric, I hope you had a great weekend with Kipton. And all of you dads out there, I hope it was just a great time to just honor one another. And of course, we're here because we have a Heavenly Father that's crazy about us.
Yes, so happy Father's Day to all the fathers, and to those who don't have fathers, you do have a father in heaven. So it's a little hard sometimes when you don't have one, but you just know that there's some out there that do have fathers, that their fathers choose not to be in their lives, and well, they're Eric's there to fill in for.
That's right. And the Bible does say that God is the father to the fatherless. And as somebody that, I lost my dad about 9 years ago, and that scripture really is comforting to me. So, so it's been a great weekend, and here we are Monday. Eric, let's make this a good Monday for everybody.
All right, well, we got a really cool lesson today, I think.
All right.
Because I got it from Billy Graham.
Okay.
So anything that comes from Billy Graham is awesome.
You do quote him quite a bit on the show.
Yeah, I like Billy Graham. I'd sit in the chicken houses while gathering eggs, and I'd put YouTube videos of his classics on, and I would just let him play over the speaker while I'm gathering eggs. So it's like, just kept listening to him. There was days where I wanted to go for the altar call myself, like I was just so goofing. And this is one of my favorite lessons that he did, and we're calling it Almost Doesn't Count.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to tell the story. Of course, our good buddy Paul.
Yep.
If we're not talking about David, we seem to be talking about Paul. Paul is on his way to Rome, and he's been arrested. He's getting hauled through, and this is in Acts 25 and 26. As he's getting hauled around to all these new places and stuff, people were like, hey, what's this guy's story? And so he goes to see, like, the governor, and then he goes to see a king, and he goes to see this next person, and it just continues that everybody's like, hey, what's his deal? Why is he in jail? Why is he in jail? And so all these different accounts of when Paul meets people like Festus, and the day's guy is King Agrippa.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes around, he's meeting all these people, and then he tells his story of what's going on in his life, and they tell him whether he's guilty or not. And then they're like, well, he appealed to Caesar, so we have to take him to Caesar anyway. Which I think is the funniest part of the whole thing. Like, they take him to try to listen to his story, and they're like, well, there's nothing we can do. He wants to go see Caesar, so we're just going to let him.
That's right, because he was a Roman citizen.
Yes.
Paul was. So that gave him this very distinct advantage, right, over your average Israelite / Hebrew. And again, that was not a detail that was missed on the Lord when he chose Paul either, right?
Yeah, he chose him for a special mission, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
So anyways, in 25, he meets King Agrippa, and he proceeds to talk to King Agrippa. Well, and then he's like, all right, I want to hear your story. Tell me everything. And so Paul tells him not really his testimony, but it was his testimony.
Right.
It's all about how he encountered Jesus on the Damascus Road and was blinded, and then he tells the story about God and who the prophets all point to, and he goes through the whole spiel to King Agrippa and talks about his life with God and how he lived his life with running for God now, and how the Jews have seized him and tried to kill him because he's talking about Jesus and they don't like that. And so anyways, he goes all the way through this whole testimony about who God is, basically, and not who Paul is. And that's what I love about Paul, is that he doesn't really testify about himself. He testifies about God.
Right.
But we get to the end of the story, and King Agrippa is not a Christian. So Paul's whole goal is to convert this guy to basically Christianity, I believe. And that's the way when he met anybody, if they weren't a Christian.
Yeah.
Paul's goal was you would be a Christian when you're done. So the line that Billy Graham always stuck to comes from Acts 26, verse 28. It says, then Agrippa said to Paul, you almost persuaded me to become a Christian. Almost
Mm.
you persuaded me to be a Christian. Like that line hit pretty hard. And then Paul goes on later to say, basically, darn, I hate that I missed it. Like, I hate that you didn't get it. And then so you don't hear anything else after that story. Like, after 26, it's done.
Yeah.
Like, you never hear of King Agrippa again. And Billy Graham's take on it was that's what happened when almost something happens. Like, Paul is fully committed
Yes.
to God, and he is the founder and one of the biggest people in our religion or in Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And King Agrippa is only mentioned one time.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I like my translation, usually the NIV. It says that Agrippa said to Paul, "Do you think that in such a short time you can persuade me to be a Christian?" That's how my translation reads. But I love what Paul responds. He says, "Short time or long, I pray to God that not only you, but all who are listening to me today may become what I am, except for these chains."
Yeah.
I mean, what a line, right? I love it. He was such a bold guy. I can't not love Paul. When are we going to do the series, Eric?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we're slowly doing it, I guess.
Yeah, maybe we're just going to do it without even. Right.
We're going to slowly drop Paul into every episode from here until it's ready.
It'll be like a Where's Waldo? You got to just wait for the Paul moment, or for the moment when you say it's not a religion, it's a relationship.
Yeah, exactly. I do say that a lot.
One would say yes.
But it needs to be beat into brains because there's too many people out there that believe that whole religion.
Yeah.
Stereotypical thing. So, anyways, almost isn't good enough. And I believe that's where we're at. Like, this story tells you, and if it's in the Bible, it's worthy of our attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Paul is. He's throughout the entire New Testament. He wrote most of it. Like, he's this huge founding person, and King Agrippa's never talked about again. So, almost you had me persuaded. Just the fact that it was almost. And I feel like there's listeners that are almost committed to God, almost willing to give their life to God. We run across teens all the time that are almost ready to give their life to God. Didn't even plan on this, but so back in last summer, I think it was, Amy and I had I called Amy one morning, like, real early in the morning, and I woke up from...
Did I answer?
Yeah, it was kind of early.
Yeah.
I was sick, and I had to get my son up to go to school, and so I got him up for school, and I said, "Buddy, get out of bed. I'm really sick. I'm going back to bed." And in between getting him up and him leaving for school, I had a dream. And the dream was that I was preaching somewhere, and I remember this vividly, that I was preaching, but I don't know where. And as I was in front of this group of people that I could see no faces and could not really tell anything except I was there and a bunch of blobs. And I preached a really good message, and I got to the end of the message, and I did a salvation call. And I remember that a lot of people came forward. But as I'm there and I start praying with those people, I'm going down the line and I'm praying with a bunch of people. And I get to about halfway, and in the corner of my eye, I see this really bright blob. Like, God is showing me this person. And so I work my way clean through, and I get to that last person, and I start talking to them. And they say, "Well, I feel like God's pulling on me, but I don't think I'm ready for that." And I remember distinctly that I reached into my pocket and I pulled out a poker chip. And I handed it to this individual in my dream. And when I handed it to him, I saw a picture of it. And it was, on one side, it said, Jesus paid it all. And on the other side, it said, "I'm cashing it in for his grace." And then the vision showed me later that guy had that, took it home, threw it on his dresser. And as he walked by one day, it was like the Spirit hit him all at once, and he gave his life to God. And then I woke up from the dream.
Wow.
And I remember calling Amy and going, listen to this dream I just had. And I told her, and I'm like, I want the poker chips. So to this day, I carry them around in my pocket.
Yeah.
Amy helped me create them. We did this. I bought them. I think I bought 100 poker chips or something, but I was dead set that I was doing this. God showed me this vision so distinctly, so clearly.
Yeah.
But again, almost wasn't good enough. But God had showed me a plan in a way that maybe we can connect with that almost person in life.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I think where we landed on the design was, I think do you have one in your pockets? Well, let me see if I get it right. I think one side says he paid it all. And I know one of the sides says, I'm all in. Is that right? Is that what it says?
Yeah.
And
they're worn off of
okay.
So.
Oh gosh. But I do think there is a big difference. Like there are those people that are like, yeah, Jesus died, he lived the perfect life. He died, for the sins of the world. And sometimes people don't include themselves in the world. It's like, well, he came and died for everybody else, not for me. Or you can just believe that he was the son of God, but it's not. So you can have that poker chip facing up that says he paid the price, right? But it isn't until that moment of surrender. That's when you flip it over, because then you're all in. Because once you make that decision that I'm not just gonna kind of believe in the works that he did, but I'm gonna live for him, I'm gonna surrender to him. That is a heart change. It's a mind shift, but it's a heart change.
Yep.
For sure.
So I had a random fact. I listen to these preachers all the time, and the guy goes, "Do you know how far it is from heaven to hell? 18 inches." Because the difference in thinking and feeling, from your head to your heart. And that's the same thing with almost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're almost convinced to be a Christian and you're almost willing to give your life to God, you're still in your head.
Yeah.
It's the moment you sacrifice your life and you say, God, I want you to be Lord of my life, that you give him your heart.
Yeah.
And that's when the switch from heaven to hell.
Yeah. And you need to get over a lot of those fears, those things, like we've talked about this on the show. Like some people are just afraid of who they are if they're changed and what that born again life is going to look like for them. And it's, it's not going to be the same life, but they're somehow afraid it's not going to be as good or as comfortable or, and they hear us talking about how God pushes you outside of their comfort zone. And maybe they don't want to be pushed outside of their comfort zone, but, staying in the mud pit, that's just really no way to live either. So you gotta take that leap of faith for sure.
I think we spent a whole episode on how people are afraid to be happy sometimes because they don't know what it looks like. And that's what this Christian walk, I mean, you see somebody walking around with pure joy all the time. You're like, I don't know if I'm ready for that if you're so used to the darkness maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, almost isn't good enough. Like almost you had me persuaded.
Yeah, and he just goes on being, I guess being king, but he didn't really build a lasting kingdom. He's just in the books.
He's not one when I'm getting to heaven going, man, where's King Agrippa? No, because I'm going to go, where's Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Right after David. I'm going to see that dancing with all his might, and then I'm going to go check out Paul and all the books he's probably wrote since he's there.
Well, and we just talked about Nebuchadnezzar the other day, and, he saw God move not just once, but twice in Daniel's life, and saving him from the fiery furnace. And then in, that was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah, well, he saw that. And then he saw that. And he also saw when he was turned to a beast of the field for 7 years.
Yeah.
And then when he finally said, oh, yeah, there's a God in heaven that's real, he became human again and stopped being a beast.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But he saw a lot of stuff, and it took him a while still to be convinced. And, I think, Eric, that's why the Bible is so, people get it wrong all the time. Money is the root of all evil, it'll say that. And, the Bible cautions us about money. And, Jesus said it's easier for, a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get to heaven. And, and people would just take that and say oh, see, it's evil to be rich. It isn't evil to be rich, but what I think the lesson here is that these people that were wealthy and powerful, they didn't seem to think they needed salvation. They didn't need saving. And And I think, these kings particularly, they felt like they were worthy of worship. So why would they worship anybody else other than themselves? And but Jesus' response to that is like, through Christ anything is possible. So but a lot of times people leave that part out. They just focus on the money being the bad part. But it can corrupt. Power can definitely corrupt. And we see that all the time in these ancient kings and even today. So
Yeah.
and there probably is I'm sure the church pews are full of these almost salvations.
Yeah, almost. Like the people who you were talking about your stone being your uncle being at peace.
Mm-hmm.
I hear stories all the time of people on their deathbeds that are like scared and crying out and fearful, and that's not knowing where you're going. I mean, the people I hear, like, well, Billy Graham again, he talked about his mother passing away, and he said, I remember distinctly, like, she was just so peaceful, and the last words were like, I see him. She's like, I know who he's like, I knew exactly who she saw in that moment. That was Jesus. She was walking into the pearly gates. And I'm like, that's the peace I want. I want that. I'm not going to be, when I get to my deathbed, I'm going to know where I'm.
Yes.
I'm not going to be like, well, I hope. Because if you're hoping, you're wrong.
Right.
I know where I'm going. And that's the almost versus the sure thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Paul, sure thing.
Yep.
King Agrippa, we don't know where he's at, but I'm telling you, he was almost persuaded.
Well, let's hope that he got there, but we may never know until we get to heaven. But, for Paul to be such a bold man, he was a bold dude. And he also was just, I think what I love about him is he was just always down to business. He didn't have time for tomfoolery, he was just so blunt and to the point. But like he still had a heart for everybody, he wrote all these books of the Bible, but he modeled what Christian love was about. And it's like, hey, you're this king that worships himself. You're the enemy, so to speak. You have me in chains. Like, I have no reason to like you, let alone love you, or let alone want to lead you to salvation. But I'm going to do it because God told me to preach it. This is why I live and breathe. And, it's kind of why we live and breathe too, Eric, right? Just to bring glory to God.
And that's right. Didn't Paul say something in 2 Corinthians about tomorrow?
I believe he did. Do you want to?
If you want to read that?
I can.
Because, he's really smart.
Where are we going here?
2 Corinthians 6:2, I believe.
Oh, that's right.
1 and 2.
Yeah, we did say that. It says, as God's co-workers, we urge you not to receive God's grace in vain. For he says, in the time of my favor, I heard you, and in the day of salvation, I helped you. I tell you, now is the time of God's favor. Now is the day of salvation.
All right, listeners, buckle up because Eric's going on his little...
Preacher Eric.
Yeah, my buddy DJ does this every once in a while. Tomorrow is not promised.
No.
We could walk out that door right now, Amy, and our lives could end.
Yeah.
And I know where I'm going.
Yep.
And if you're listening to this and you don't have a certainty, then you're almost persuaded. And I'm giving you a chance today that don't be almost persuaded. Be fully committed to God. Know where you're going. Know that you gave him your life. And know that born-again, spirit-filled life is what you want. Bring that into you. Allow this Holy Spirit to fill you and to be your guide. And stop thinking you're God and allow him to be Lord in your life, not you. So if you're almost persuaded out there today, I beg of you, tomorrow is not promised. Tomorrow will be greater if you give him your life today. Mm-hmm. There is no place like there is in the arms of the Almighty. I know that every day I may walk through a crap storm down here, but he's got me. I'm in that little wing and I'm held tight and I am not going to get hurt because my God has got my back. And even if something happens to me on this earth, I'm going home. Mm-hmm. I'm going to my place where he wants me.
Yeah.
So if you are almost persuaded out there today, I pray that you give your life to him and you allow him to be Lord of your life.
It reminds me, Eric, of the time that we had, well, we've done it a few times now, but one of the first baptism nights we had at Big Blue. It was the craziest. I don't know if it's like Snapchat locations, but kids were showing up that we have never seen darken our doors before. We're like, what is he doing here? What is he doing here? They were just all showing up randomly. And there was this one kid kind of standing in the back, and he'd come to Big Blue, for several years, just off and on. But I saw him and I went up and I said hi. And, he's kind of like, what's going on here? I'm like, well, we're doing baptisms tonight. And I remember like you and Rob and Chris, you were up in the front. And I don't know, at this point, you got your fourth or fifth kid in the bath. And he's like, well, I want to be baptized. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, well, I don't have any clothes to change it. Because he was like on his way to the movies or something. He was just wearing jeans and a t-shirt and everything like that. And so he's like, oh, I don't have any clothes to change into. And I said, I did say, well, I got like some shorts in the car or something like that. And then he sort of had another kind of excuse, Eric. And I just looked right at him. I said, what are you waiting for? I said, today is the day, like now or never. And he did. He got in there, and I believe he accepted Jesus, and then he's baptized.
Yeah, he got the trifecta, because not only, he was saved in the tub, baptized, and received the Spirit that night, like all at one time. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was. And he's one of those people that, I've told you this before, but like God puts people in my crosshairs, right? And the first time I met him, it was just like I heard God being like, this one, Amy, this one. Yeah. And I've been praying for him for a very long time. And I don't see him a lot, but whenever I saw him, I was always so excited to see him, ask how he was doing stuff. And, again, it's not about taking the credit, but like we talk about spurring one another on. Like that was me in that moment saying, what are you waiting for? Get in the tub.
That first baptism night, it was so funny because, Amy's shorts were a little big on this kid. He's just a twig, I swear. Amy's not big. And he was swimming in her shorts. And so he sat down in the tub, and we're like, listen, when we're done baptizing you, you're going to get excited. And you're going to stand up fast. Don't. Hold your pants up. Yeah. And we had baptized a whole pile of football kids. And so he goes down, comes back up, jumps straight up out of the water. His shorts go down, and before anybody could see anything, this football kid rips his shorts right back up and like holds them on him. Yeah. It was one of those moments where it's like, if you didn't see it, you wouldn't have believed it, because these two kids wouldn't have crossed paths anywhere else, but they were holding his shorts up.
Yeah. And covering him in towels, like a burrito.
And then the hugs and the love of God just enveloped this place that night. It was so good.
Amazing. Yeah.
I got to tell the other one from that night. I remember.
Go for it.
There was a kid who came forward that night to get baptized, and I'll never forget it because I'd never seen the kid in this building. He comes through the door, and as he comes through the door, I see him stop. And when I'm baptizing somebody, I get really good energy. Mm-hmm. Really good energy. I love it.
Energy, Eric, really? What are we?
Yeah, I know, right?
Are we heating up crystals and hugging trees?
Oh, I'm telling you, like jumping around, singing, shouting is
okay.
Anyways, this kid comes through the door. I see him come through the door. He kind of looks at us, and then I see him start pulling stuff out of his pockets and taking off his boots. And I'm like, he's coming forward like a train. And he did. He got up there. He's like, I'm up. And I'm like, dude, that was not real. And he got in the water like that. And it was like, boom, there it was. But he was taking boots off and pulling stuff out of his pockets before he even come through the door.
I love that.
The call of God was not almost persuaded on him.
Right. Absolutely. And, I don't know what a lot of those young men are up to these days, but I guess the thing is, like, when God, he planted that seed, and, I pray for each one of them that it is continuing to grow. But, in every season, you kind of don't know what's going to happen, but God's there, and his salvation is there. And, that was such an exciting night. I loved it.
All right. Well, we're going to put a wrap on this one, but don't be almost persuaded today by what you've heard. Allow that to just penetrate all the way down, marinate in it, and then give your life to God.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.